Hello, my name is Kelly Krause.
And my name is Gregory Peer. Today we would like to speak with you about what we call the cradle to grave contracting process. Now, a name like cradle to grave may sound intimidating, and to be frank, we could spend hours discussing each of the topics in today's video and still only scratch the surface of contracting.
Instead, our goal today is to provide you with a broad overview of the most important elements of the process: pre-award, award, post-award, and closeout. By taking this 30,000-foot approach, we hope to enlighten you with some of the basics for each of these elements without getting too bogged down in the details.
Why do we need to do this? Because of the rules. Nearly every action we take during the cradle to grave contracting process is directed by detailed rules, policies, and procedures. Rules for acquisition are covered in the Federal Acquisition Regulation, or FAR. The DoD implementation and supplementation of the FAR is issued in the Defense Federal Acquisition Regulations, or DFARS. The Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Procedures, Guidance, and Information, DFARS PGI, contains mandatory internal DoD procedures and supplemental information to be used at the discretion of the contracting officer. Department of Defense individual and class deviations, CDs, are authorized by the FAR and the allowing agencies to deviate from the FAR and DFARS under certain circumstances.
As a Navy agency, we also adhere to the Navy Marine Corps Acquisition Regulation Supplement, or NMCARS. As the name indicates, this is further supplementation to the FAR and DFARS as it applies to the Navy and the Marine Corps acquisitions. Lastly, we adhere to NAVFAC Procedures, Guidance, and Information, or MPGI. This is supplementing guidance for NAVFAC-specific acquisition.
Now we move on to pre-award. Consider this scenario. You just started your first month working as a contract specialist at Fiat Coronado. You have all your systems accesses and have become familiar with how work gets done around here. Your supervisor calls and says that you have been assigned to a new contract that is only just taking shape. You may start asking yourself, how will you know what industry can offer? Do we know exactly what the customer wants out of this contract? What will I need to do in order to evaluate contractors qualified for the contract? These are just a few of the questions the pre-award process can help you solve.
At its broadest, pre-award generally consists of these big picture concepts: conducting market research, describing agency needs, soliciting offerers, evaluating offers, and selecting the successful offer. This is the process we use to promote the maximum practicable competition. Think of it like this. If you were buying a car and there was only one place to purchase from, they could set the prices at whatever they wanted. But if there were two or more places to purchase from, they would compete with each other for your business, which would drive down the overall price of the vehicle. When pre-award is complete, you should have a clear picture of the numbers and types of firms qualified to complete the work needed, an understanding of the requirement, and the submitted offers detail. Now you're ready to begin the award process.
You have now taken the time to select an offerer from a list of qualified candidates. Next, we take the crucial step to award the action. But this process isn't always as simple as pushing a button and giving the contractor an instant perfect contract. It requires hours of effort to guarantee that the contractor and government will achieve mutually beneficial goals while, once again, adhering to the ever-present rules. Terms that were agreed upon during negotiation will now need to be incorporated into the final award document. Not only is this procedure meticulous in detail, but you will be expected to document the entire process to justify rationale and actions taken in a way that is prepared and accepted by both the contract specialist and the contracting officer to ensure integrity of the process.
Because not everyone who submitted will be chosen to receive a contract, you will also be expected to send notices to the unsuccessful offerers while simultaneously awarding to the successful offerer. With award achieved, you now have a contractor fully informed and ready to perform the work assigned at the specific start date. So that's it, right? Not quite. There's still a little bit more work to do to stay compliant with these ever-present rules and regulations.
Entering post-award from this big picture perspective, post-award administration is designed to ensure that the buyer receives the contracted supplies and services on time and at the level of quality required by the contract, and that the seller receives payment. The difficult aspect of contract administration is the tendency for circumstances to change after contract award, requiring the contract to be modified. Much of contract administration activity involves adapting to changing circumstances.
The level of contract administration varies depending on several factors, including complexity of the supplier service, type of contract, or experience of the contractor. There are also times when the government requirement changes or there's a contract performance issue when a contract must be terminated. This is never the goal for the outcome of a project. However, if it becomes necessary, that process will occur during post-award. Post-award is not used as a substitute for the contractor fully understanding the performance requirements when they submitted an offer, or to alter the final agreement negotiated and captured in the contract award document.
All right, the contractor has been selected. They have been provided all the elements they need to succeed in completing the contract. So that means we are officially done, right? Almost, but there are a few loose ends that need to be worked on. The contract closeout process begins once a contract is physically completed. A contract is considered physically complete when performance is completed and accepted, meaning deliveries are complete and the government has inspected and accepted the supplies. All services have been performed and accepted by the government. All options have expired. Payment has been made. Any and all disputes have been resolved. Or if the contracting officer has given the contractor a notice of complete contract termination per FAR 4.804 TAC 4A2.
Once the contract is physically complete, you will need to perform a few checks and complete certain forms to let everyone know the work is finished. This process includes several elements, like preparing a receipt of evidence of physical completion, initiating the closeout, completing the contract closeout checklist DD Form 1597. If necessary, completing the contract administration completion record DD Form 1593. And finally, preparing the contract completion statement.
We hope this video has provided a clear idea of the basics you will need to find success managing the cradle-to-grave contracting process. But don't assume this means you know everything there is about contracting.
You will soon learn that the concepts for pre-award, award, post-award, and closeout have their nuances, and each will require their own separate video just to discuss them. For now, just know that each element provides an important step in finding the right people to do the work that enhances and improves our mission of supporting the warfighter.